Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Pain to Passion Live. Guys, I am so happy because right now I get to talk to my beautiful, amazing friend, Janna Johnson. I love this woman. She is incredible. We got to meet each other through Amberly Lago's mastermind, and I just feel so blessed to have her in my life. And you guys are going to love her. So, hi, Janna. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be on your show.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here. And I know that we're going to get so much out of this today. I would love for you to just kind of tell us like who you are, where you live, a little bit about what you do, and then we'll dig a little deeper.
Yeah, so I'm a Texas native and I currently reside in Austin, Texas. I've lived here for 18 years. I love it. I don't love the allergies, but I love Austin. And I am a single mom of three, and I am currently engaged to get married in June.
Yay.
And I am very blessed and lucky. I get to do what I love, and that is a nutritionist. I'm a holistic nutritionist, integrative nutrition health coach, and just a wellness warrior. I through my own battles and overcoming the impossible, Lyme disease and autoimmune diseases, that's where I found my calling. And I went from accounting to nutrition. So
Wow.
never thought I would be a nutritionist at all. But sometimes we find our callings when we least expect it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that leads us right into your story. First of all, I don't think I knew that you were in accounting before that. Like, what a jump. And you really must have become so passionate to make that big of a shift. So I think just without any further ado, like just tell us this story of Lyme, like you said, overcoming the impossible and how all of this has played out in your life.
Yeah, so this has been it's been 11 years. Back in 2012, and I had my two oldest kids who are now 14 and 12. They were about 3 and 1, and I woke up with a rash on my leg, and I had no idea what Lyme disease was. I'd never heard of it. So I just was like, I was a country girl. We lived out in the country, and I was like, oh, there's a rash on my leg. It didn't itch, didn't hurt. So I was like, it'll go away. And within a week or so, it faded away, and I did have I did get a really bad headache. And I did feel kind of just like really tired, but I mean, you're a mom, you know how it is when you don't feel your best, you just chalk it up to your mom, and you're sleep deprived and you're stressed out.
Yeah.
And all you do is take care of your kids, and you don't really think about maybe there's something I need to look into, right? So it went away, it faded, and I never heard of it. My mom was actually there in town, and she didn't know what it was either. And the mistake I made was I didn't go to the doctor. But within 6 months, I started to just get a lot of symptoms I'd never had before. The brain fog, I got really, really bad. And depression was kind of creeping in. My anxiety was at an all-time high. I was having really bad menstrual cramps and things around my cycle, tired all the time, fatigued, and just started to have a lot of gut issues. Like my body wasn't responding the same to the same foods I'd always had. And so within 6 months, that was April of 2012. And then by that fall, I pretty much, my body pretty much shut down.
Wow.
I'd been to a few doctors and was just told that, it was Epstein-Barr virus, and my hormones were a little imbalanced. And I had a lot of tests run, but that's really all it showed. And then right before Thanksgiving, I remember I was at a grocery store, and I just like, I didn't know where I was,
Oh my gosh.
and I felt very lost, and I was scared to death. And at the time I had no idea what was making me feel that way, but it was that the brain fog was so intense. and the inflammation in my brain, it was like there was no function there.
Wow.
And so that's when things took a turn for the worse. And I had to get a full-time nanny. I couldn't take care of my kids. I was a controller of a few different entities, and I couldn't do numbers. And I started to go to a ton of different doctors, endocrinologists, hormone, you name it. Found out I had hypothyroidism. I'm thinking, okay, great. I'm going to take this little pill every day and I'm going to feel fine. That's not at all what happened. So long story short, this went on for about a year and a half of going to doctors. Nobody knew what it was. In fact, one doctor I went to actually tested for Lyme disease. And, I learned afterwards that the conventional testing for Lyme disease is not accurate at all.
Oh, wow.
In fact, I got a negative like twice. And I finally found functional medicine, and it resonated with me because it finds the root cause. And, at the time I wasn't a health nut. I thought I was healthy, like I was gluten-free, right? I worked out all the time. I thought I was healthy, but I wasn't, right? I was consuming a lot of sugars and dairies and just, the things that you think are healthy that are not. And so when I found the functional medicine doctor, they did the functional test for Lyme disease along with a host of other tests. And I was very sick with Lyme disease. I had like 8 of 10 strands of it.
Wow.
And because it had been a year and a half, I had chronic Lyme. Finding out what it was like a huge weight off my shoulders. But when I started to look up Lyme disease and saw that, there's really not a specific cure for it. There's not a one thing fits all for getting well. And the horror stories, I mean, it was like a punch in the gut, right? And at the same time, life hasn't stopped for around me. I've got 2 little kids still, and a husband who's an ex-husband now who didn't understand it at all, right? And people judged me because I looked fine on the outside. I can look at pictures now and be like, oh gosh, I look sick. But to everyone else, and there was nothing visible they could see. And so when they don't see that and they just hear you saying like, I don't feel good and I have anxiety, it's just kind of like, oh my gosh, stop complaining.
Yeah.
And I realized really quickly that with invisible disease, you just learn to say that you're fine, because people don't really care and they don't understand.
Yeah.
And maybe they care, but they just don't get it, right? They don't want to hear it. It's like, I don't know what to do for you to make you feel better. You look fine to me. And, this was by people very close to me who are supposed to be close friends, family members. And there's an emotional side to living with an invisible disease that's absolutely brutal. And Lyme disease kills a lot of people. And it's not the disease itself, it's that they take their own lives, because it is a very hard disease to live with, what it does to you mentally and emotionally. Some people with Lyme disease, the bacteria, it's little corkscrew shaped bacteria, burrows down into your tissues. For some people, they just get a lot of muscular pains and things like that. For me, it infected my brain, and my symptoms were just unbearable. And so this is all new to me, right? And I got these little kids. And at this point, the depression had set in so much, I just didn't want to live anymore. And I would go to bed at night and tell my then husband, I pray I don't wake up in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, why would you say that? You got kids thinking about it. And I was like, exactly. They deserve better. And I hope I don't wake up so I don't have to feel this pain for another second. I haven't had 1 second of reprieve in 730 days. And I can't live this way anymore. And my worst moment, rock bottom, that was a little bit of a game changer for me, was probably when I was in my SUV by myself. I didn't drive much at the time, but I was still kind of expected to work a little bit. And so I was on an overpass, and I just realized I could just veer off and end it.
Yeah.
And I didn't, because I didn't want to hurt the innocent people. And that realization happened because I realized I couldn't remember my kids' names or where I lived or my own address.
Oh my gosh.
And I prayed. I felt like I prayed 24/7, and I just felt like I wasn't getting any answers, and that this was just how it was going to be for me. This is my death sentence, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I went home that day, Gabi, I just fell on my knees and I prayed and I cried. And I said, God, if you're taking me through this to help one more person, bring me through it. But I need your help here.
Yeah.
And, just to backtrack a little bit, I kind of grew up in a very critical environment where I never felt good enough. And I was criticized for everything. And, my family criticized people when they left. And so I kind of was a little bit of a negative thinker because I wasn't raised like in a positive household.
Mm-hmm.
And my family wasn't there for me. My husband at the time wasn't really there for me. And I was just so alone. And so in that moment on my knees when I was crying, I just asked God, like, please just help me out, Father. You help me out. And I'll go through this, but I need you to show me what to do.
Wow.
And I didn't realize that I do now, but at that moment I was having a mindset shift change. And I remember getting up, and I had a lot of body dysmorphia issues and things. And I physically couldn't look in a mirror.
Mm.
And I got up and I went and looked in my mirror and I said, F you to Lyme. And I was like, no more, no more. From this day forward, I'm not going to look up the negative stuff. I'm not going to focus on everything I'm feeling. I'm going to focus on what I want to feel. I'm going to focus on what's there in my future.
Wow.
And I got this little box I had, a little shoe box. And I felt like at the time I was kind of being guided to do this. It wasn't something I had done before or knew somebody that did it. And I got little pieces of paper, tore them up, and I wrote down little prayers. But my prayers were, thank you for not, will you heal me, God, but thank you for healing me.
Wow.
Thank you for, and I prayed for everything that I wanted that was going to happen. I just started to say it's going to happen. And I put them in that little box and I put it up, and it's still at the top of my closet. and I started to do that in front of my kids,
Mm.
and at this time they were a little older, and, they were like, I want a prayer box, Mom. But when I made that mindset shift change, I started to just view everything very differently. And I started to view it as, this isn't a death sentence. This isn't me. I am not Lyme. I am not depressed. This is what I'm going through.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being sent through this for something. I don't know what it is, but the Lord must think I'm pretty strong to give me this battle, right?
Yeah.
You're like, he doesn't give me anything I can't handle. I'm like, Mabel, you think I'm stronger than I do.
Mm-hmm.
And, at that moment, things really started to change. I started to just focus on myself, and I started to do very specific things for Lyme disease to kill it. And I got my doctor's approval on it. It was taking essential oils. I've done a lot of studying on it. And I didn't realize that during this entire time, Gabi, I was studying. I was kind of becoming a nutritionist in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I realized, that food was medicine, that was the ultimate game changer for me. And that's such, like, saying it now, I'm like, that just seems like that's how it's always been for me, right? Like, that's normal. But at the time, I'm like, food can't make that big of a difference. Is it really going to make a difference if I heal my gut and stop eating sugar? Is my gut really not well? Like, are these things really going to help? Like, come on. Like, I think my doctor wants me to have a nutritionist because they want more money,
Mm-hmm.
But when I started to make those changes and really started to learn about that part of the body and how food is either your medicine or poison, that on top of the essential oils I was taking to kill the Lyme bacteria, that was just a game changer for me.
Wow.
And I started to get well. And as I started to get well, I got stronger mentally. And I just got this fire lit inside of me that was just like, I'm going to make it. And I got this, right? And I hadn't had a fire lit inside of me in a long time.
Wow.
And my kids started to see it. And then I got to where I was working 40, 50 hours a week again. I don't need a nanny,
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I got my life back.
Wow.
And I knew very quickly what my purpose in this life was. And it wasn't something I had to think about. I just knew it. And people just kind of gradually started to come to me for health advice and nutrition and what to do. And, being a controller for me anyways, accounting was boring, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm really great with numbers, but that's not my purpose here. Okay. And so I went to nutrition school, health coaching school, and I just dove into that. And, you know, it brings me so much joy to just help other people and, you know, to show people their true potential and that they can do it themselves and to be their own wellness advocate. And, that wasn't enough for me though, because I was like, I got bigger dreams. And so, for me, it was always hard for me to take a chance on myself, right?
Yeah.
Because there's all that fear and that self-doubt that we put on ourselves, like, you're going to look stupid, you're not going to make it, that's not going to work, they're going to make fun of you, nobody's going to listen to it. And I'm just like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I wouldn't talk to my daughter or my best friend this way. And I was like, I have this dream. I want to have my podcast. I want to write a book. I want to speak. I just know there's something there for me so big because I want to help so many people. And so last August, when I said yes to myself and everything happened, right, with Amberly and meeting you and all these wonderful girls in the mastermind. And I just realized I learned so much in that moment in August because people were like, well, what did you do different? I'm like, I just said yes to myself.
Yeah.
I started to believe in myself, and every single thing that was like, I was scared to do, my biggest fear, it meant I'm coming and I'm going to do it. And that's not always an easy decision to make because there's still sometimes like, our big talk coming up in March where I'm like, ooh, I get scared to death, wake up at night and I'm like, oh, I'm going to make a fool of myself. What am I doing? But that's just the fear.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like when you have the most fear and you're the most scared, that's probably what you're supposed to be doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, it's so important to surround ourselves with like-minded people. I never would have met you and all these other amazing women who truly care about each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think women these days tear each other down too much. And it makes me really sad seeing it with like my 12-year-old girl and how they are, how they can be at school.
Yeah.
And, I really just feel like women should empower women and support one another and, help each other go after our dreams and cheer each other on. And, it's been huge for me to, to be on a podcast like yours, share my story, have my own podcast and really just help as many people as possible because, I wished there was a time when I was so sick with Lyme disease that I wanted that source of inspiration and hope, and it wasn't
Yeah.
there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, there's got to be somebody that's felt as sick as I have that got well, and I couldn't find it. And I realized that I'm supposed to be that source of hope and inspiration when it comes to something like Lyme disease and living with an invisible disease.
Mm-hmm.
And teaching people how to use food as medicine and teaching people that you can do everything perfect, but if your mindset's not in the right in the right space, none of it matters because your mindset is everything. And I think that's our biggest power, honestly.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just rambled on and on.
No, that was so powerful. Like I was so moved,
You asked
honestly.
about me and it's like an
Yes.
hour in.
No, it's so good. And I'm so glad that you shared all of that because I think, at least in some part of that story, almost everyone will be able to relate at some point. Something that really stood out to me, because I'm someone who has dealt with chronic pain, who has dealt with invisible illness. I related so much to what you're saying. Like, people just don't get it. You just start to say you're fine and you move on, because it almost hurts more to try to express it to someone and they're like blank face, like, okay,
Absolutely.
than just to keep it
They
inside,
don't understand.
you
They don't know
know?
what to say. They're like, she looks fine. She's
Yeah.
negative and complaining.
Yeah. Or even like, but you're here at this event
Oh
or
yeah.
at this dinner
Yeah.
or talking to me, like it seems like you're coherent and you're okay. So
There were so many times I struggled. My absolute worst symptom um, was the brain fog.
mhm.
Brain fog, there's tons of different stages of brain fog.
Yeah.
There can be the like light stage you get when you feel when you have a head cold. And my brain fog was so bad, it was on the worst level. I was absolutely dealing with confusion, derealization. Most people haven't even heard of derealization. It's literally where you feel like nothing's real, you're not even
Mhm.
alive. I used to pinch myself hard to see if I could
Yeah.
feel pain
Wow.
because I couldn't feel anything, right? I would look at my kids and be like, I know I love them, I just don't feel it. I couldn't feel
Yeah.
joy, I couldn't feel happiness. And so when you're in that constant mindset struggle and you can't do or take anything to get rid of it quick, um, and life around you doesn't change, and you, like you said, you go to these social things because there's still things you have to go to, whether kids' birthday parties, whatever.
Right.
People have no idea how much you're struggling to make it look like you got it together when
Yeah.
you don't. When
Yeah.
all you want to do is crawl in a hole with a straight jacket.
Mhm.
And that's what it felt like for me. Um, and it was pure isolation and loneliness because nobody understood it. It'd be like, well, why don't you just go take Prozac? And I'm like,
Oh my
really?
gosh.
Okay. Oh no, that one was said to me by a
Yeah,
family
I
member.
believe it. I believe it.
um, yeah, so whether someone's dealing with an invisible disease or not, people are struggling these days mentally and emotionally.
Mhm.
There's so much pressure out there with social media and this idea of perfectionism that nobody can achieve. There's
Mhm.
one perfect person, and we all know who that is, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that's it. And you know, it makes me sick to my stomach sometimes when I look at some of the stuff that our youth deals with. I see it with my two oldest, they're 12 and 14, and there's just way too much pressure put on people to be perfect and to, you know, always seem like you're busy and you've got it together. And you know what? Screw all that. Everybody does the best that they can do for that day. And it might not be yesterday's best or tomorrow's best. All you can do is the best that you can do for today. And,
Absolutely.
I try to teach my kids that because the the sense of competition today is unlike anything I ever had to deal with. I was born in 81. So in the 80s, 90s growing up, uh, there was competition, but not like it is today at all. And
Mhm.
I really think social media is a major contributor to that.
Yeah.
Um, and so, anyways, my point was that, you know, whether you're dealing with invisible disease or any sort of illness, there's so many people that are dealing with mental and emotional problems and that are scared to reach out, or they
Yeah.
feel like something's wrong with them. People will make fun of them. They don't want to seem weak. And, so I'm grateful for, people like you, and Amberly, and, with what I do to help shine a light on that.
Mhm.
It's not just your health. People think health and they think it's all food and exercise, but it's not. Your mental and emotional health is absolutely everything.
Yeah.
And that should be the priority, right? I feel like it
Mhm.
could be, it's the foundation and everything else falls into place.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Absolutely. I'm curious what you would say to someone who might be listening who has a loved one who deals with chronic pain or an invisible illness and wants to do better with
Yeah.
communicating with that person. What
Yeah.
advice would you give to them?
That's a great question. And the what not to do is just to say, it's okay, you're fine, you'll get well, tomorrow's a better day.
Mhm.
That's brushing it off. You know, all people are ever really looking for is empathy.
Totally.
And you don't have to understand what somebody is feeling. You don't have to have experienced it before to just say something like, I can't imagine. I'm so
Mm,
sorry you're having to deal with this. I am here for you. I don't know what to do. I don't know what it feels like. Please tell me how I can help.
mm,
And sometimes that right there, it's like a hug. It's like your safety blanket and comfort. And there might be better advice out there, but those were the things that I just wanted to hear
mhm,
on my deepest, darkest days.
mhm,
And I didn't have that from one person,
mm.
not one person. And I say that because that shines a light on how hard it is to live with somebody that has invisible disease because there's no way to understand it. It seems so foreign, right? It's
Yeah,
not like you see me on crutches or I got a scar over here, I'm bleeding.
right.
But on the inside, the pain is severe.
Mhm,
Um, so most of those days, all I wanted to hear was someone just to say, I'm so sorry. I am here for you. I love you. We will get through this. Not you will, we will. We'll
mm.
get through this together.
Yeah,
How can I help? What do you need? And then don't put pressure on people. Don't put pressure on like, oh, it's just birthday party for 2 hours. We just got to go do this. Like, can't we you just need to get out of the house. Like, I don't need you to tell me what I need to do. I need you to just be in my space with me and support and comfort me. And that's it.
yeah,
That's my best advice because that's what I wanted.
yeah. It seems so simple, but it's so powerful. If someone can actually act in that way with someone who's suffering like that, like the power of that, even the healing power of that. Like
Yeah.
it does give you more energy if someone can meet you in a space like that because you feel seen, right?
Yes.
But you didn't
Yeah.
have that, which you mentioned, which just breaks my heart. I absolutely hate that for you. But somehow you were able to find the strength to say, you know what, this is not my forever. And I'm going to basically declare, like with this prayer box, what
Yeah.
is going to happen in my future. Like, how
Yeah.
did you find the strength to do that? Was it like pure desperation or what was
No,
it
it
for
was
you?
it was an unbreakable faith.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you, I wanted my faith to be broken. I wanted to give up. Gabi, I used to get mad, and I don't know if I've honestly ever shared this before, um, other than maybe with my mom and fiance, but I used to just get mad at myself and at God that my faith was so strong. I wanted it to be broken. I wanted the ability to give up. I
Mm,
did. I was like, gosh, like just give up. And I'd get so mad because I just couldn't.
mm,
And I used to not like that. And now, if someone sees wellness warrior on my Instagram or my website, that is because that is exactly what I am. I am
mhm,
just a warrior and at heart. And I used to not accept that about me at all. I used to get mad, like, why do I have to be so damn strong? Why do I have to endure so much? Like, come on. And I finally just embraced it. And that leads me to this next thought, which is I often feel that the things that we're being sent through are they're coming to us for a reason. They're coming to us to change us and to grow us. And I believe that adversity is our biggest teacher.
Mhm.
And, you know, I was a much different person 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I wouldn't have thought this way or anything, but I am where I am today and who I am today because of the adversity and the hardships and the pain that I had to go through. And, you know, adversity is going to come everyone's way, right? In all different forms. And I believe that at first you're always the victim because that's natural,
Mhm.
but you don't have to stay that way. You can become the victor. And I chose that one day when I looked in the mirror to say, no more. You're not welcomed in my body, Lyme. I am not going to make my body a home for you anymore. I'm going to starve you out and I'm going to feed and I'm going to feed Janna and give her what she needs. And those mindset shifts are huge when you realize, yeah, this sucks. It really does. And I hate it and don't know why it's happening, but I'm not going to stay in that victim mentality anymore. And it is amazing what happens when sometimes you just choose to believe and you choose yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I do believe that things are sent our way to grow us and to shape us, to teach us. And you have to choose that. If you feel like you're constantly having the same discomfort come along, whether it's, you know, a sickness or just like, oh, why do I always have to be around those people? Whatever it is.
Mhm.
I don't care what it is, on what scale. When you're constantly facing the same little discomfort or challenge, that is because you haven't learned the lesson yet, right? It's like a video game. You have to learn your lesson and then you get to move up to the next level.
Mhm.
So sometimes we just got to ask ourselves when things are frustrating, when things are difficult, I think the best thing to do is to ask ourselves, what are you trying to teach me? What do I need to learn?
Yeah.
And just view it differently. The woe is me thing gets old real quick.
Mhm. But some people, and I say this with so much empathy and so little judgment because I know I've been in that place.
Yeah,
But there are some people who choose to live in the woe is me level, like
absolutely.
for forever.
For sure. Because you get attention there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's no different with like when you're raising kids, you know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
They will go after positive or negative attention, right?
Yes.
And, you know, that woe is me mentality, it's just kind of like, well, people are checking on me, and, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and when you start to do good and you're not chirping so much, you kind of lose that in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
But who wants that attention?
Right.
Right? And if you are wanting that attention, you need to ask yourself, why do I need that attention?
Yeah.
Maybe
Good
there's not
question.
enough self-love there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think when you love yourself, I didn't used to love myself at all. I mean, like, no. Honestly, Gabi, it's probably been the last 2 or 3 years that I finally fell in love with myself.
Wow.
That was hard for me. It was uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
That was when I learned forgiveness and what that was. And you know, I can only teach or say something that I've learned and that I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just give my opinion ever. It's based off of personal experience. Um, and I know this. I know when you learn to love yourself, not only does everything else fall into place, the right people come into your life, then you can fully love and they can fully love you.
Mm.
But when you fully love yourself, you don't need that from anywhere else in life. Loneliness isn't something that you feel when you're alone. Trust me, I've been in a miserable marriage. Loneliness can
Yeah.
be when you're with somebody,
Absolutely.
but when you're happy with yourself and you're in love with yourself, you're never lonely,
Mm.
right? So I think that if someone's stuck in that woe is me thing, maybe they need a little more self-love.
Yeah. For sure. Girl, you're full of wisdom.
Well,
I love you.
I like that. Well, I
Yes.
love you too because I think that you're amazing and what you do is amazing and you're shedding the light on something that people aren't even quite aware of, right? You know, you had a post the other day about empathy, and that sometimes people that have been through a lot of trauma come off like they don't have empathy,
Yeah.
when that's really not the case. And I thought that was huge, because there needs to be more awareness on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just very grateful for you and your friendship and what you do and what you shed the light on. And I think it's important to let people know that, like, we're not perfect. We don't like happy, positive every day. Like, we still struggle. There's times where you and I, talk, and we have to lift each other up. So, you never achieve this perfect, positive life every day. You just do the best you can every day. And having the right people to support you is everything.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for you and your friendship. And, I know I can count on you and be like, hey, Gabi, I'm really hard on myself today. Like I told you earlier, like, girl, I'm scared to death of my talk in March, right? And you gave me good advice. So it's important for people to know that things aren't perfect every day, and constantly have to work on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you were there for me last week when I thought I wasn't going to be walking
Well,
for a while.
I'm
And
always here for you.
I know you're wonderful and I appreciate you so, so much. I'm just so grateful to know you. I mean, this was such a powerful conversation. And I'm just so glad that I got to even learn more about you. Believe it or not, you probably do believe it, but that part where you're like, I just wish that my faith was not so strong. I was
Oh,
like,
it's true.
you just
I've never
verbalized
shared that.
something I have thought so many times.
No, I've
Like,
never shared that.
I
I think
so
sometimes
appreciate
people are
that.
scared to talk about faith and God and love, but I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for my faith, I would not be here today. I wouldn't be on this earth anymore.
Yeah, right
So
there
my
with
faith
you.
has gotten me through the toughest, darkest times.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
you are living proof that God is real and
Yes, he
um,
is.
you're a miracle. And I love
Oh,
seeing all the miracles that are unfolding because of your life.
well,
So
thank you. Thank
thank
you
you
very
for
much.
sharing with us today. How can the listeners connect with you? What's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, so Revived by Janna is my Instagram and my website as well. And to confuse everyone, Revive with Janna is the podcast. And I believe it is going to be live tomorrow. So my
That's so
producer told me that earlier
exciting.
today. Kept getting cut
Oh
off with some
my
email
goodness.
things. And so my podcast should be live tomorrow. And I hope that I keep getting to share the stage with you and help spread our message.
Absolutely. So, so honored to know you. I can't wait to squeeze your neck in a couple of weeks.
I know. I'm like, a couple of weeks. It sounds good and scary at the same
I
time. I'm
know,
not
right?
ready.
We both have a lot of work to do, but it's going to be so good. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And thank you
Me
for having
too.
me. Like, truly, thank you.
Absolutely. I'm so, so
Anytime.
grateful. Thank you, friend. Thank you so much. Well, this has been such an honor. And to our listeners, check out the show notes, connect with Janna. Definitely follow her on Instagram. She has so much wisdom and so much to give us. She laughs, but it's true. And we will chat with you all next week here on Pain to Passion Live. See you later.
Yay. Bye.
Bye.